You know that image we all have in our heads? Picture this: a lone, scarred, gray wolf. It's standing proudly up on a high ridge at dawn. You've got this thick mist swirling down in the valley below. The air is so cold you can literally see its breath. And if you look closely, you can almost feel those piercing amber eyes staring right back at you. It's an incredibly powerful, iconic image, isn't it? Well, welcome to today's Explainer. I am so pumped you're joining us because today we are completely rethinking leadership. We're going to totally deconstruct a concept that is so universally known, so deeply baked into our culture that we honestly almost never stop to question it. We are talking about the alpha. The alpha. I mean, when you hear that word, what instantly comes to mind? For decades now, society has held on to this very specific, kind of rigid idea of what an alpha wolf actually is. We've deeply associated that word with, well, forced dominance. We think of the alpha as the one using fear to control the entire pack, right? We think of absolute force. We think of the alpha as simply being the biggest, loudest, most aggressive voice in the room. It carries a lot of heavy, aggressive baggage. But here is the crazy part. That word, it's a lie. Okay, let's dive into this, because this right here is where the entire paradigm shifts. The very foundation of what we thought we knew about these incredible animals, and, by extension, the whole metaphor we use for our own leadership, is fundamentally flawed. Actually, the scientist who coined the term alpha wolf decades ago, L. David Mech, spent the rest of his career literally trying to take it back once he realized he'd gotten it wrong. We've basically been sold a story that just doesn't align with the reality of the wild. Section 1. Packs are families. So, if the whole alpha myth of force dominance is a lie, what is the actual truth? Well, we need to shift our tone entirely away from that harsh, aggressive dominance. The reality of how wild wolf packs actually organize themselves in nature is it's so much more profound. A wild wolf pack is actually a calm family unit. It's naturally structured around parents and their offspring, not this forced dominance and submission stuff. Imagine a relaxed clearing out in the forest. You've got the lead wolf, and they're just surrounded by pups and younger wolves. Their body language is completely relaxed. The pups are gently nudging the lead wolf, and get this, their tails are low and loose. That indicates a state of total calm. It is definitely not the cowering, submissive fear of some dictatorship. It's just the warmth and safety of a family. The contrast is pretty stark, isn't it? On one side, we've got the myth, ruled by force, relying on the biggest voice, driven by fear. And on the other side, the reality, built on family, guided by experience, sustained by cooperation, and totally anchored in trust. When you look at it like this, it becomes incredibly clear that true leadership in the wild isn't about taking power. True leadership here is earned. Section 2. Earning the pack's respect. So if you aren't ruling by fear and force, how exactly does a lead wolf maintain order and, guide the family? Well, authority in the wild is meticulously earned through 3 pillars of true pack leadership: experience, cooperation, and protection. And this brilliantly illustrates the specific, actionable traits that define how these lead wolves actually manage and care for their families out in those harsh elements. Let's break each of these down so we can really understand them. Pillar number 1 is experience over fear. Leadership here is earned through the pure wisdom of having survived. Picture a close-up of that scarred lead wolf, intensely focused, scanning the harsh, snowy terrain. But the crucial part is what's happening around that leader. The younger wolves, they aren't cowering in fear. They are attentively watching and learning. They're looking to that hard-earned experience to guide them safely through a really unforgiving environment. Pillar number 2 is cooperation. When the pack goes out to hunt, it definitely doesn't operate as some chaotic group of individuals all fighting to be the boss. No way. It moves as one mind. Picture a wide, snowy field. The wolves fan out in this highly coordinated, totally synchronized formation. They're kicking up dust and snow as they move together with a shared purpose. The lead wolf might be front and center, sure, but their success relies entirely on the seamless cooperation of the whole family working together. And the third pillar, which is absolutely crucial, is protection before command. A true leader protects long before they ever attempt to command. Imagine this beautiful, backlit dawn scene. The lead wolf is standing firmly between the vulnerable pups and the dark edge of the tree line. The leader is physically angling their body protectively, constantly turning to check on the young behind them. They act as the shield. Which brings us to this incredibly powerful point. Respect isn't taken. It's given, again and again, through trust. This right here is the emotional core of our whole explainer today. Imagine two wolves, a leader and a younger pack member, just calmly nuzzling each other. You can literally see their breath fogging in the cold air between them. It proves that in the real world, respect isn't some crown you just seize by force. It's a gift. It's given to you by your team, and it relies on continuous, unwavering trust. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is that it forces us to kind of look in the mirror. We've talked about the gray wolf on the snowy ridge, we've looked at the calm family dynamics, and those 3 pillars of pack leadership. But what does all of this mean for us? It's time to gracefully pivot away from animal biology and look directly at human psychology. Section 3, the human parallel. Imagine the silhouette of that wolf pack standing on the ridge, slowly fading, cross-dissolving right into the silhouette of a human team. It really prompts a deeply important question, doesn't it? If the real wild wolf leads through calm experience and protective trust, was human leadership ever really supposed to be about being the loudest, most dominant voice in the room? Who do we actually choose to follow? Because ultimately, just like the wolves trailing their leader into the morning mist, true leadership is all about choice. It's not about who can yell the loudest or flex the most muscle. It's about who the pack, who your team, your family, your community actively chooses to follow. So as you head back into your own workplaces and lives today, I want you to ask yourself, are you just trying to be the loudest voice, or are you actually earning the respect of your pack through experience, cooperation, and trust? Think about that. Thank you so much for joining me for today's explainer.